watching Talk, presented by United Auto Sales. Chalk Talk, and thank you for staying up late with us. Of course, it's SEC Media Day. We're live right here in Hoover, Alabama, or you may call it Birmingham, Alabama. It's Auburn and, the Crimson Tide territory, but we are here. Things kicked off today, and it was live from the get-up. J.C. Sherbert, Brian Hand of Spurs and Feathers are here with me, guys. Of course, we know for one, it's SEC Media Day because we are hot and it's humid, J.C., and I can see the little sweat on your brow there.
Hey, no doubt about it. It's a hot night in Alabama, but it was a good day over there at the Winfrey Hotel today, and it was just nice to get things rolling and get into the season.
And Brian, you drove in today from Columbia, made that drive. How was that for you?
Yeah, it was a long drive. We're here, and it went from hot and famously hot to hot in Alabama. But it's okay because it's fun. We're here for Media Days, and you know what that means. Football's almost here.
It's almost here. And JC, talk about, though, the rock star mentality and what it's like here. You saw the fans, you see everybody here in the lobby, just gathering. Just talk about what it's like knowing that it's just right around the corner.
And, of course, Auburn's Gus Malzahn was here today, and there's a lot of Auburn fans in the Birmingham area, and certainly they line up 2 or 3 deep. Fans in the lobby, coaches everywhere, lots of media types. ESPN was here broadcasting live most of the day today. It's just a festive atmosphere, and, this type of thing, probably has evolved into something that's more fun than I think work. And I like that. I like that about it because it should be fun because it's going to be a lot of work for all of us during the season when the actual stuff gets here.
Well, it's like no other. The ACC 2 days, 4 days here. Brian, talk about that, just what the SEC represents. We know it's the best conference in America, no doubt about that, but the other conferences, the Media Day, it's not like it is here in Hoover, Alabama.
Yeah, I've been to the ACC, I've been to Big South, I've been to Southern Conference, I've been to a lot of them, but the SEC is its own animal. It's a fun little event. To his point, to JC's point, it's a circus. It really is. When Alabama and Auburn here are particularly, and then tomorrow when Steve Spurrier comes in here and comes in because everybody's anticipating Steve Spurrier to be Steve Spurrier in Media Days, it's just a fun atmosphere. And he's right. It just starts football season the way we want it to be, fun because it's going to get down to the grind pretty soon.
It really is. And of course, today we talked about, and you saw the pictures in the lobby, the fans gathered around, the coaches getting out of their SUV, walking through that door. They're like the footballs, the helmets. Everybody wants signatures. Everybody wants the pictures. But the biggest rock star may have been Greg Sankey, the new commissioner of the SEC, and he's replacing Mike Slive, a guy who's been around for a long time, guys. And what does that mean for him? I mean, those are big shoes to fill, JC. Mike Slive's done a great job when he was in leadership of the SEC. Now Greg Sankey, the new guy on campus.
Well, what impressed me today about Greg Sankey is he's a very intelligent individual. Sort of has a dry sense of humor, a lot like Mike Slive, but, is a guy that's going to put his own stamp on this league, right, and a guy that I think, has the right idea, which is probably why he got the job. You don't just replace Mike Slive, so they got a good person to replace him. I thought, my takeaway from his press conference today was nothing but positive.
It was positive. I expected him to say something that's kind of, throw a little bomb in there, but Brian, he really didn't say nothing off the beaten path.
No, and he's following Roy Kramer, Mike Slive. Legends in this field, and and he's a new age guy. He was tweeting. He was talking about the new age. He was talking about the new age and things are going to be better to come for the SEC. And he's not necessarily meaning football. I think he just means the SEC networks here. There's new things out there, and the SEC, as they always have, is going to continue to be on the forefront of that.
Now, JC, would you classify his job as easy? I mean, when you talk about it, it's like a coach, has a great program in place, and he walks into this team and kind of just takes the control. I kind of see that for Greg Sankey, with the SEC, just walking in.
Well, it's certainly a Cadillac job if you're talking about conference commissioners of different leagues, but with what is given. Much is given to someone. Right. There is much responsibility. Right. I had to get that quote out there. And he's been given a lot. And so I think that the problem when you replace a Mike Slive or when you replace a Roy Kramer is that at times, if something goes wrong, you're going to get blamed. And they're going, well, this is why this is different because this guy's here now. So it is an easy job. It is a job that I think is, like I said, a Cadillac. But I don't know necessarily that the pressure that comes with being the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference is something that's necessarily a huge positive going in. But I do think the guy can handle it based on what I heard today. I think, he's got the mind and the mindset to go in there and do some big things to continue to expand, the reach of this conference.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Of course, tomorrow, guys, the bird is in the air for the Gamecocks as Steve Spurrier and 3 players are going to hit it in the clouds. They'll be here tomorrow morning. We're going to talk some Gamecocks after the break because the old ball coach, will he say something to stir the pot? We'll talk about that and more coming up as Gamecock Chalk Talk rolls on. You're watching Talk Talk, presented by United Auto Sales. Welcome back to Gamecock Chalk Talk. We're live from Hoover, Alabama, the site of the SEC Media Day 2015, sponsored by our good friends at United Auto Sales. And where you going to get it? You're going to get it right here at Gamecock Chalk Talk. Corey Miller, J.C. Sherbert, Brian Hand with you. Now, guys, tomorrow, Steve Spurrier, the Gamecocks are in town. And, of course, every year, everybody's looking for that statement. That's something that he's going to say that's going to make people go, wow, or laugh, or like he called somebody out. JC, you expecting that tomorrow from the old ball coach?
I don't know. I think we'll see a humbler Steve Spurrier tomorrow. I don't know that after what happened last season that he's going to go out and talk a whole lot. At the same time, we have heard some needles over the summer, and I do think that just listening to him, in his interviews during the off season, I don't know that he's going to tone it down too much, but I don't really expect him to be maybe as brash as he was. I certainly don't think he'll be calling out Alabama or anything like that. I do expect him to be confident, though, and to be positive about the Gamecocks and the 2015 season, and to speak about potential improvement, and to really kind of be truthful and honest. I think that's what's great about Steve Spurrier, is that with all the shots and the things people latch onto, he's usually pretty honest.
Yeah.
And if he's wrong about something previously, he'll come back and say, hey, I was wrong about that. Here's why. I guess this wasn't true or whatever.
Right.
So he speaks the truth. So I expect a lot of truth tomorrow.
Yeah, it definitely will be true, because this is a team that not a lot of folks are expecting to do too much in the SEC. Now, Brian, you had a chance to sit in this office today, as you do in your weekly meetings with Coach Spurrier. What was the attitude? Was he positive? Was he a little bit nervous? What did you get from it in your interview with him today?
Nah, he's upbeat. He's really excited about the year. The main takeaway I took from today when we were visiting was that he expects the defense to be that much better. He really appreciates and really thinks that John Hoke's doing what he thought he would do when he brought him in, and he says that he thinks he'll have the best defensive improvement in the SEC this year, and that's a lot for him to say in July, and I think you'll hear more of that tomorrow at SEC Media Days.
Well, one guy that he can feel confident about is Elliott Fry, the kicker. He's one of the best in the SEC, and he's a guy that's really has a unique story, and they implemented this year that out of the 3 players, you got to bring a player with a unique story. Elliott Fry, of course, has diabetes, and it's pretty special that they're going to feature him on tomorrow here at the SEC Media Day. And of course, Sky Moore, the linebacker, the best all-around player, I think, on the defense, a guy very athletic. He led the team in interceptions. He's really a good all-around linebacker that can make plays. I know, JC, that's one of your favorite guys, and you said if he's not starting, you're not going to any of the ball games. I don't believe that, but I understand the sentiment there. But let's talk real quickly, though, about the big storyline that everybody's going to ask Steve Spurrier about tomorrow, and it's the quarterback position. Connor Mitch is the guy that they expect to be the starter at quarterback. Behind him, Perry Orth, and then maybe Nunez, the freshman. Guys, he can't really throw things out there now, because I'm seeing a ball coach that's going to show up here that's not so confident in his football team.
Well, I think that, Connor Mitch had a good spring to a certain extent. I think that, for what I saw of him out of the practices, he was solid, better than expected. I know that some of the coaches are confident in Connor Mitch and think that he can go and get it done. And I think that there are others around the program that are sort of, questioning it a little bit. So it's kind of interesting. I did not expect this to be an issue heading in to preseason, but it is. I'll tell you right now, Perry Orth could be the starter when they play North Carolina in Charlotte to open the season, and we could see Nunez at some point this year too if he can get the passing game down. Connor Mitch, it's really up to him as to how good he wants to be, and if he wants to be the starting quarterback of the football team at South Carolina this year. And if he doesn't want it, I'm sure there are 2 other guys that will take his job.
Well, they got a guy in Farrah Cooper they can get the ball to. But real quickly, a quick bite from Maria Taylor of the SEC Network. Here's what she had to say about Steve Spurrier and the Gamecocks.
Spurrier, the great play caller that he is going to be able to find ways to get it in Pharaoh Cooper's hands. He's going to find a way to make a great quarterback shine. Doesn't really matter who plays. I mean, you go back to the days of Connor Shaw where no one's saying he's the best quarterback in the SEC, but he looked pretty good. Dylan Thompson, he's not the best quarterback in the SEC, but he always looked great. So Spurrier's going to put the offense in a position to be great. We'll see with the co-defensive coordinator situation how that shakes out. But I wouldn't be surprised if South Carolina, they get some wins that not everyone expected them to have at the beginning of the season.
When we come back from the break, we'll talk Vandy, we'll talk Florida, we'll talk Auburn. We'll hear from the coaches after this break. We're live from Hoover, Alabama. Really hot. We'll be back in a moment. You're watching Talk Talk, presented by United Auto Sales. And we're back. Gamecock Chalk Talk live from Hoover, Alabama, talking SEC Media Day. Corey Miller, Pastor of Payne, here with you alongside J.C. Sherbert, Brian Hand of Spurs and Feathers. And guys, of course, 3 teams were in town today. Gus Malzahn of Auburn, Derek Mason of Vanderbilt, and Jim McElvain from Florida, the new coach for the Gators. And it was an Auburn kind of house today. I mean, rightfully so, as Gus Malzahn walked in here. And a lot of folks are picking Auburn to win the SEC West and the entire SEC. Now, they don't have Nick Marshall, the guy that put up a lot of numbers and stats for Gus Malzahn in that offense. They do have a new defensive coordinator there. And so a lot of folks like Will Muschamp and what he's going to do replacing Ellis Johnson. Guys, Jeremy Johnson is a guy that started 2 games for the Tigers, and it's very impressive.
Definitely, and I think Jeremy Johnson, Corey, could get into the Heisman race. I really do, and the reason is he's different than Nick Marshall in the sense that he's a guy that can throw the football. 6'6", 240 pounds, big arm, but Gus Malzahn said today the kid probably runs a 4.6.
Yeah.
So he can run the entire offense. You got Duke Williams back at wide receiver. Running back is 3 deep. Javon Robinson is a name to watch. Gamecock fans won't know anything about him because he's a junior college transfer. He's a very special player who I think could have that Trey Mason type of impact for the Tigers. Rock Thomas is there. Peyton Barber is there. Their H-back position's very, very solid. Their offensive line is good. And I do think Muschamp will improve the defense. How much better is Auburn going to be on defense? I think they'll at least be able to rush the passer better because Carl Lawson's back, Montravius Adams on the inside, and then they add Byron Cowart, the 5-star defensive end from Tampa, who's another instant impact guy. I think Auburn will have too much offense, and the defense will be improved enough to where they will be the class of the SEC West. I actually had that opinion. I know we're going to talk about it later, but that was my opinion, and that's why I've been kind of on their bandwagon this offseason.
Well, a lot of folks on Jeremy Johnson's bandwagon. I talked to him today about stepping in for Nick Marshall. Jeremy, big year for you, of course. Started 2 games last year. Now you're the man in charge. How's that feel?
It feels real great, and like I said, I'm blessed to have this opportunity, and I'm just ready for the season.
When you look at your football team, a lot of high expectations for the Auburn Tigers this year. Is it pressure, or that makes you pumped up about the season?
It's no pressure. It makes you know that you got a chip on your shoulder, and all we can do is control what we control, and that's taking 1 game at a time and let the rest take care of itself.
Now you're a different type of quarterback than Nick Marshall. Obviously, you're bigger. But Coach said you run well and you get throw the ball very nicely. If you had to work on something in your game, what would that be?
Just making intermediate throws, like check downs and all the smaller routes. And, that's something I could work on my footwork. Having my feet in the proper technique to make it a good throw.
Finally, what's the goals for you? You have your team goals and your individual goals.
My team goal is, to win the SEC championship first and let the rest take care of itself. And I don't have no individual goals because the individual goals is going to come with winning the championship. And all the individual acclimates is going to come with winning the SEC championship. So I'll just let that take care of itself.
When we come back from the break, Derek Mason, the head coach of Vanderbilt, will talk to the media. We'll let you hear from him. Plus, it's that time for us to select who's the best in the SEC East and West. Who will JC pick and Brian? We'll let you know after this timeout. You're watching Talk Talk, presented by United Auto Sales. All right, guys, we'll save the best for last prediction time. We all vote for the best teams in the East and the West. And JC, I'm going to start with you. Who you like in the East, and who do you like in the West?
Well, Corey, I picked Tennessee to win the SEC East. I think that the Vols, top to bottom, have the best roster in the division. You know, the schedule's tough, but every other team in the division has a tough schedule as well.
Yeah.
You know, I think Tennessee has a very good quarterback in Joshua Dobbs. I think Alvin Kamara, the JUCO running back transfer, is an X factor for their offense. I love Pig Howard at wide receiver as another X factor. Their line returns some starters. And then on defense, you have Derek Barnett and Kurt Magid, you know, two guys that can really rush the passer. Linebackers good. They have talent in the secondary. Tennessee's a complete football team. I think the East is wide open. I think that the winner could have 3 losses. I think if Georgia had a quarterback, they would be the easy pick right now. And I can't rule out Missouri, South Carolina, or even Florida for making a move. But to me, Tennessee in the SEC East, Auburn, as I mentioned earlier, in the West, which it was harder to pick the last place team in the West than the first place team. You know, those two, I think, will meet for the SEC championship in the Georgia Dome first weekend in December.
Well, Emily Pennycuff will be happy that you went Tennessee. Brian, what about you?
Well, on the East, I totally agree with that. I think it's completely wide open. Right now, I'd have to go with Georgia. They have the least unknowns, and Tennessee's got to show me something. I think that you know, they got a lot of talent in. Now it's time to show me something. You know, I still have them second with South Carolina third, but I think that's 1, 2, 3 could be very interchangeable. Like he said, South Carolina has a great chance if things come together. As Florida or Missouri, all they've done is won the last 2 SECs, and we keep putting them back in the pack just because we don't know what to expect from them. They have so many players that just come out of nowhere. And then in the West, I wanted to pick Auburn, and I was going to pick Auburn, and then I started thinking about it, and I just don't know. I mean, everybody expects Will Muschamp to come in and do wonders, and maybe he does, but they got to show me something defensively, and, you know, so I picked somebody you'd be happy about. I got Alabama. And the same thing with him. Picking the last, I think 3 through 7 you could throw a dart, and you know, any of them could work out. I think it's distinctly Alabama and Auburn up front, but 3 through 7, just pick somebody and it works out.
Well, you know, for me, you know, it's very easy in the East. I think it's Georgia with Nick Chubb and that running game, offensive line. Yeah, they got a new quarterback as well. They're going to be good on defense. Jeremy Pruitt does a great job as that Nick Saban defense. They're going to fly around. They're going to hit you with that 3-4 defense. They're very athletic at linebacker. I like them. Tennessee, yeah, everybody's talking about them, but their schedule is going to hold them up. Tennessee can have a good year and yet be 7-5. So I think Tennessee is second, and of course Mizzou. Don't sleep on Mizzou. They got the offensive and defensive line. They find a way to win it. So I'm going with them at third. And of course, if you want to hear where I think the Gamecocks going to fall, I'm saying anywhere 4-5. I got them at 6-6. In the West, yes, maybe a little bit biased because my son plays there. Blood, you know, it's blood. I'm taking Alabama over Auburn. Auburn's number 2. They're going to be good, but Alabama, I think it's going to be really good. I've seen those guys work. I think the quarterback position will be better than what most people think. I think Alabama wins it. Auburn second, LSU third, and then Arkansas, who it could be a sleeping giant in the SEC West, is fourth. Mississippi State fifth, and then it don't really matter after that. I don't think Chad Schwag Kelly at Ole Miss going to be doing anything but making rap songs in the dorm room. I'm just saying, because he's not going to win ball game, guys. I think it's Alabama, and I think it's Georgia, and it's going to be a good championship game down in Atlanta.
In 2012, I had a chance to see that game, Corey, between Alabama and Georgia. It was literally the best live football game I've ever been to in my life. It was outstanding, and we'd all love to see it. I tell you one pick I made that was probably not popular. I picked LSU 6th in the West. 6th. So, they come to Columbia this year, so that actually gives some Gamecock fans some hope. This is not your normal LSU team.
Well, guys, that's going to do it for us here. For Brian, JC, Alex, and Dustin, and Kevin in the van, those guys done a great job for setting things up for us. We'll be live all week long from SEC Media Day. Have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow. Watch Fox News at 10.